So this is a video of how you can multiply fractions. Multiplying fractions can be done very simply by multiplying the top number times the top number and then the bottom number times the bottom number. And of course, if after that you have to observe if your fraction can be simplified. If it can be simplified, then you must simplify it. So 5 times 4 is 20. 8 times 25 is 200. And now we have 20 over 200, and you may ask yourself, can this be simplified? That means you're looking at the top and the bottom number and seeing if there is a common divisor. So there is a common divisor between 20 and 200. There's more than one. If you can think of the highest one, that would be most beneficial. However, if you can't think of the highest one, 10 is an obvious one. I can think of the highest one, which is 20 itself. So I'm going to divide both the top number and bottom number by 20. So 20 divided by 20 is 1. 200 divided by 20 is 10. So this is a very basic way to get the answer for any fraction multiplication. Top number times top number, bottom number times bottom number. However, there is another way to arrive at 1/10. So the process that we just used was a way to multiply first and then simplify second. There is another way that we call the cross product. Now it's different from cross multiply. But the cross product is a way to simplify first and multiply second. So if we have the same 5 over 8 times 4 over 25. If you notice that there is a number on the top of one fraction that has a common divisor with the number on the bottom of a fraction, we can simplify first. So I notice that 5 has a common divisor with 25. Remember, it has to be one from the top of a fraction and the other from the bottom of a fraction. Doesn't have to be a cross, but it could be on over each other, but one from the top, one from the bottom. So 5 and 25 have a common divisor of 5. So we say 5 divided by its common divisor, 5, is equal to 1. So we cross this out and we put 1. And 25 divided by its common divisor is 25 divided by 5, which gives you 5. I also noticed that there are 4 and 8. One from the top of a fraction, another from the bottom of a fraction have a common divisor. So I could apply the cross product here. If I think of the common divisor, the greatest one that they have in common is 4. They have 2 in common. You could also use 2, but you'll have some more simplifying to do. So the highest one that 4 and 8 have in common is 4. So then we'll do 4 divided by its common divisor. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And then we'll do 8 divided by 4, the common divisor, which will give us 2. And from there, we multiply the numbers we have now. On the top, we have 1 times 1, which is 1. And on the bottom, 2 times 5, which is 10. Same answer we got here. Okay, so here is another example. We're going to see if we can apply the cross product to this example. So for 16 and 16 over 21 times 15 over 20. Of course, we can go the very basic route of multiplying the top number times the top number, and multiplying the bottom number times the bottom number, and then seeing if we can simplify. However, going that route will leave you with some very large numbers to simplify, and if that's not your strong point, you might want to apply the cross product first and multiply second. So for the cross product, I noticed that 15 has a common divisor with 20. So remember, I said one number must be on the top of the fraction, the other one must be on the bottom. It doesn't matter if it's over each other, it doesn't matter if they're across from each other, but it must be one from the top, one from the bottom. You may have noticed another pair that have a common divisor different from the pair that I chose, but we should all arrive at the same answer. So their common divisor between 15 and 20, the greatest common divisor they have is 5. That means I'm going to do 15 divided by 5, okay, and that gives me 3. So I cross out the 15, I put 3. Now 20 divided by the common divisor, 5, 20 divided by 5 is 4. From there, we can now compare 16 over 21 times 3 over 4. We could apply the cross product again. Why? Because there is a common divisor between 16 and 4. So let's do that first. 16 and 4 have a greatest common divisor of 4. 2 is also a common divisor, but we want to aim for the highest one we can think of, and that's a 4. So we're going to do 4 divided by 4, which gives us 1. And 16 divided by 4, which gives us 4. We're dividing by 4 because 4 is the greatest common divisor of 16 and 4. Okay, I also noticed that there's a common divisor between 21 and 3. So we can apply the cross product here. The greatest common divisor of 21 and 3 is 3. So we're going to do 3 divided by 3, which gives us 1, and 21 divided by 3, which gives us 7. And then, once we've simplified everything we can simplify, we multiply top times top. 4 times 1 is 4. Over 7 times 1 is 7. And that is our answer. So some takeaways from this is that you can continue, after you've applied the cross product one time, you can continue to apply the cross product. You always want to look for a number at the top of a fraction and compare it to a number at the bottom of a fraction to see if there is a common divisor. Once you find the common divisor, you want to divide by that common divisor. Now let's tackle one that involves 3 fractions. Okay, of course, in order to solve this, as I mentioned before, you could always multiply the top numbers times the top numbers, the bottom numbers times the bottom numbers, and simplify. But if we want to avoid getting those very large numbers, we can simplify first by using the cross product. So first, I'm going to look for numbers, one from the top of a fraction, and I'm going to compare it to a number at the bottom of a fraction to see if they have a common divisor. So first, doesn't matter which one you choose, which pair you choose first, and you may notice a different set from me, but you can use it as long as there is a common divisor and it's a number, one from the top of a fraction, one from the bottom of a fraction. So first I have 5 and 20. They have a common divisor of 5. And so I'm going to do 5 divided by 5, which gives me 1, and 20 divided by 5, which gives me 4. The next set that I notice 3 and 9. Now again, we cannot do 3 and 6 because they're both on the top of a fraction. It has to be one from the top and one from the bottom. So I'm going to use 3 and 9. 3 and 9 have a common divisor of 3. So that means I'm going to do 3 divided by 3, which gives me 1, and 9 divided by 3, which gives me 3. And lastly, I also noticed that I have a common divisor of a pair that have a common divisor. 6 and 14 have a common divisor of 2. So 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. 14 divided by 2 gives me 7. Okay, now I have at the top 1, 3, and 1. At the bottom 3, 7, and 4. I notice that there is a 3 at the top of a fraction and a 3 at the bottom of a fraction. So of course, if they're the same number, of course that means they have a common divisor. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 up here is 1. Okay, and now we have simplified all that we can simplify. So we're going to multiply what we have at the top. We have 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. And then we have 1 times 7 times 4. 1 times 7 is 7. 7 times 4 is 28. And that is our final answer.